Welcome into the first ever episode of the Armchair Illini Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Birkland, and I'm extremely excited to be a part of this journey with Armchair Illini. And we are going to have all sorts of different content, man on the street content and champagne. We're going to have giveaways via the YouTube channel and the Armchair Illini Podcast, and many more things that we come across with your ideas, mailbag episodes, you name it, we will have it. But want to start off with a live read from our first sponsor. It's Hamilton Walkers. Illini fans, the Armchair Illini podcast is fired up to team with Hamilton Walkers Seafood and Spirits, hands down the best dining experience in Champaign-Urbana. We're talking prime steaks, fresh seafood, and a vibe that's perfect after a big Illini win. And here's the game changer. Every single home game, we're giving away a $100 Hamilton Walkers gift card on our social media. That's right. Dinner on Armchair Illini. Follow Armchair Illini and Hamilton Walkers on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to get in on the action and experience Hamilton Walkers, where Champaign-Urbana comes to celebrate. Fun fact about Hamilton Walkers, it's where I first met my in-laws, and we had a great steak dinner right before my wife's pinning ceremony. So Hamilton Walkers will always have a special place in my heart. But it is time to talk a little Illini basketball. I know football camp is slowing down, but we need to talk Illini basketball. This was a big offseason, a lot of offseason of change, and no better person to bring on than Cody Delmendo. Cody, how's it going?
I'm good, Austin. I did not realize this is the first ever episode on this podcast. To be a part of it, I guess I can put this on the resume.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. You are the perfect person to talk Illini hoops with. I know that you do a lot of live streams during games and post games, and you bring an expertise and some new media perspective, and we're very excited to have you on, Cody.
Yeah, no, obviously from my background, much bigger and as a Cubs creator, but Illini have always been like my second passion. Grew up near Champaign, so even though I live in Chicago now, which isn't even really that far, but up here in Chicago, there's so many different fans of Big Ten schools, and where I grew up, everyone bled orange and blue, and so even though I didn't go to Illinois, I can't not watch Illini basketball in the winter, and thankfully over the last handful of years, it's been a pleasant thing to do.
Absolutely. And let's get into this Illini basketball team. Kentucky, a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
That season ends. Then this offseason, full of change. Kasparis goes into the draft. Will Riley goes into the draft. Morez Johnson surprisingly enters the transfer portal and heads to Michigan. What were the expectations of this offseason once that Kentucky Illinois buzzer hits 0-0-0-0?
I mean, I think in this new era of college basketball, I guess it was a little bit of a roller coaster, but I feel like I'd say that every year, every offseason, or the moment the NCAA tournament ends for Illinois, I think it becomes a little bit of a roller coaster with some high hopes, maybe even at this point, high expectations of rebuilding. I think after what happened against Kentucky, I went into the offseason hoping that they were just going to get older. And obviously, as Brad has called it, retention. And I think it's good that they have some key pieces returning. So it's not a brand new team, even though I think a lot of people think it is. So as far as expectations, did they meet them for me? I guess so, because I feel like Illinois is going to have expectations to finish top 5 in the Big Ten once again this season. I think Purdue and Michigan are getting all the hype right now, and I think rightfully so, especially for Purdue. But listen, you know as well too, like whether we should raise our expectations or not. I do remember when we were all just begging to make an NCAA tournament. So like the bare minimum for me is not just that, but be a consistent tournament team and also finish in the top 5 of the Big Ten. They didn't do that last year. They had an opportunity. Many games that they lost that they probably should have won, or you felt like they should have won. So this coming season, my expectations are for sure better than last year, even though they were an NCAA tournament team. And I think they will be better than last year just because they aren't going to be so young and your core pieces aren't freshmen who are one and dones and all that. So it's a long-winded answer, but that's where I'm at.
Absolutely. This is a podcast. It's all about long-winded answers and a lot of in-depth conversation. But you look at this team and the returners coming in with Tomislav and Kylan. What are your thoughts on what they can bring and what they can elevate in their upcoming seasons?
I mean, I think Tommy going into year 2 being here, working with Adam Fletcher, maybe he can get a little stronger. I think that'd be good for him. And Kylan, for me, I think he could have that year 2 jump that people are kind of saying that they're expecting to see from like Ben Hamrickhouse. But I don't know if people forgot, but like Kylan went from like a 38% 3-point shooter with Arizona to like not even 25%. So for me, like I'm hoping this experience in the Big Ten from year 1 and going into year 2, like the 3-point percentage jumps, especially with him. I assume will be playing more of the 2 guard in year 2 with Petrovic here. So yeah, I'm hoping that Tommy will be stronger. I'm hoping that Kylan will shoot the ball better. Those are like my 2 things that I want from those 2. And when I say stronger from Tommy too, I mean I don't know how much better his defense can be, but I think a lot of teams took advantage of his defense. Not at least with and drop coverage and all of that last year. I think he's a great shot blocker and protector of the rim, but as far as other things defensively, I think at least a lot of fans feel a little unease about his defense. So I would like if he can get stronger. I feel like he won't get bullied as much. Like I felt like he got bullied a lot against some of the better players in the Big Ten last year. Like Derek Queen is like one that sticks out to my mind. I know he was a lottery pick, but man, he had no shot against him in that game. I believe so.
Yeah, those were the returners he thought were going to make another impact in another season. But then there was a surprising returning category, and 2 guys were a part of that. Number 1 was Ben Hummerkaus, mainly because of the NCAA transfer rules, and number 2 was Ty Rodgers. But Ty Rodgers has sustained an injury in a pickup basketball game that he was going through, and so let's table Ty Rodgers for now. But Ben Hummerkaus, are we really anticipating much? Do you think he can actually be a contributor to this year's team with all the depth added in from the European side?
I just think another year, a year of experience in the Big Ten after all that pressure that was on him. I feel like getting comparisons to Dalton Connect, for example. Like I think this year if he's a regular bench player, come in, shoot the 3, maybe against certain teams matchup wise, he can do more in the post. I just think a smaller role will be better for him. I don't know what to really expect, but I expect him to be at least a little bit more consistent because he would have great games, but then he wouldn't in the it would struggle in some of those games in the Big Ten. So yeah, I'm just looking for a little bit more consistency more than anything else.
And then there's Ty Rodgers, which I think he'll have another injury year this year. What can you expect from him in next year in 2 seasons? Because this is a heartbreaking function of Ty Rodgers. You knew that you weren't going to get him for this redshirt year past year. You thought he was going to transfer. You get your hopes up that he's back after Morez Johnson transfers to Michigan, and then that injury happens. Do you think that he can be the same player that he might have been this year, or have your expectations dropped of Ty Rodgers?
Well, maybe I haven't caught up with the news, but is it for sure that he's not going to play this upcoming season?
I mean, there very well could be a possibility he could play, but seeing that full knee brace in that team camp get together, for lack of a better term, did not look the most promising. Maybe Big Ten conference play he can play. I don't know. That could be a hope, but
I guess
I'm just going off the most pessimistic view of what
Yeah,
this injury could look like.
I totally understand that. Well, if to answer your question, if he doesn't play at all, then obviously it's disappointing. Because I think he redshirted last year just because he didn't think he was going to get any playing time, and we all thought he was going to transfer. And the only reason he didn't transfer is because so many other guys transferred or graduated or went to the league, and I kind of opened up a spot for him. So he decided to stay, and then this unfortunate thing in a pickup game or whatever happened. So what to expect from him in 2 years? Man, I don't know, dude. If he really doesn't play this entire season, then I have to believe it's like an ACL or something like that, right? And it just coming back from an injury like that, so many guys can do it well, and so many guys take another year to even get to where they want to be. So, man, I guess in 2 years, maybe like he's just like that glue guy off the bench, like he already is, but like at a lower level. Like I thought Ty Rodgers had a good chance to start opening
Absolutely.
night. And now I feel like at best he's just a role player off the bench that can play defense for you. As of the information that's been given to us, right? And theoretically, if he doesn't play until next year, like in 2 years, I mean, like it's kind of like, okay, there's not a lot to expect here. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he did transfer after this year, go to a lower level, and maybe he gets more playing time, which would suck because he's been such a great like program guy, which you don't see a lot anymore here in the NIL era. And that's why I've enjoyed him being part of the program. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do in order to, get to the next level. If he's promised more playing time from another school or whatever, like at least see the options. Because if I'm the coaching staff, like I don't even know what to think about Ty Rodgers right now. If they know for sure that he's not going to play at all this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on that jump shot. I feel like if Ty Rodgers truly has developed that in his redshirt year and maybe a great shooting stroke in his injury year, just working on the arm stuff of the shot, that very well comes out and is like, hey, I can shoot 3-pointers now. And then it's a completely different ball game because he's not relying on that physicality, bulldog mentality. He has another bullet in his arsenal, which is something that he has severely lacked. And I
didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I just said it just hinders on his jump shot.
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out there, so I didn't catch the last part. But yeah, I guess it hinders on his jump shot. But I also didn't even have high expectations for his jump shot coming into this year, to be honest with you. Like, I figured if he didn't get hurt, I would expect, a veteran presence on the court who plays good defense, can rebound, get to the basket. And if the jump shot was at least better in the mid range, even like if he even attempted shots like outside the paint, that would have been a big thing for them. And I think that's what Illinois wants him to do. So yeah, now that it's like everything's up in the air, man, I honestly just feel bad for the kid more than anything else. I don't even know what I'd be thinking if I was him, other than just trying to get healthy and get back into some form of a role to just feel like if he has a chance,
Absolutely. All right, transfer portal time. There was that big loss of Morez Johnson, but you do get Big Z and you get Andrej Stojakovic. So net positive or net negative transfer portal haul for Brad Underwood, not taking into account the Euros that were brought in.
Yeah. I think it's a positive. I mean, everyone thought Dame Sarr was going to be the star, and instead you get Andrej Stojakovic, and makes me feel very old because I remember when his dad played.
I played with him in NBA Live 2002.
Yeah, exactly. I think what the big question about Stojakovic for me is, he played at Cal and he played at Stanford, and those programs aren't good. And now he's going to come to the Big Ten and have the spotlight on him. And, I think John Rothstein within the last couple months made a point of empty calories that he put on in the box score just because he is the only reason, or he put up good numbers, but the teams didn't win, But I also feel like he was a massive reason why they were even ever in games. I remember watching Cal play in the ACC tournament this past season. I think I just flipped on ESPN and saw it and watched it for a little bit and realized that, some of the players on the team. And I just think that Stojakovic has the opportunity to really, become a star at the level at this level. I think people understand the talent, and obviously everyone knows the last name, but I think he has an opportunity to become a star. And as far as Zvonimir, I just think it's an upside play. So based off the needs they needed going into the offseason and the worries about guys transferring it out and most of them returning, I'd say it was a positive, considering everyone thought Dame Sarr was coming here. And then when that just fell apart and then the Stojakovic stuff happened, I feel like they kind of, they shifted and figured it out. It could have been a significantly worse offseason, I think. So, this doesn't count all of the guys they brought in from Europe, but I think that, if there's one thing this program does well, it's transfer portal. So I feel like they did well.
Yeah, it feels like they shifted from transfer portal to freshmen last year, and then this year, the European model. So those three different ways of roster building. It's been incredible watching Brad Underwood adapt each offseason to the strengths of his assistants and to what talent is out there. And this year, the European influence is very, very heavy. I know we don't really know exactly what they're going to bring on the college basketball floor, but overall impressions of the European class that Brad Underwood brought in.
The fact that one of them is 22 years old and basically an adult is wild. But I'm interested to see how he plays in the Big Ten, though. I don't really know what he expects himself. Come over, play college ball for a couple years, and did you still have hopes to go to the NBA? I don't really know his path, but it is weird. that is happening. I'm really excited about what David Mirkovic can be for this team. Before Ty Rodgers got hurt, I thought maybe he could be an outside chance to start, because I do think out of all the positions on the court right now, power forward is the only one that's a toss-up right now. I think it would be a battle for it. So I'm interested in his development from day one until, even the end of, day one to the beginning of Big Ten season. And then from the beginning of that going into March, I'm interested to see how he grows. And yeah, I think that it's very interesting how they went about it. And they kind of started it all, because now a lot of teams are kind of going that route too, or at least diving into those waters. Not as much as Illinois, but it feels like it's something that all of college basketball is starting to do.
Yeah, every time I see a tweet from on 3 guy or a 24/7 guy, it's this team is looking at this Eastern European player, and I'm wonder where they got that idea from outside of BYU and Igor Demin and Kasparis Yakuchonis. I mean, those two guys have almost been the lead pioneers, the guys that have stuck their foot in the NCAA waters just to see what it looks like in terms of those top tier European players. And I think they realized that these European players realize that college basketball might be the route to go, just because it's a little bit more of that NBA physicality instead of the European kind of Euro step kind of game. It's kind of challenging them in a physical way that they aren't used to. So I think this is going to be an explosion, and it's so nice to have a coach that's at the forefront of all this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those guys need to come over and learn how to play the game with high knees running up and down the court, being awful, like
Absolutely.
that will prepare them for the NBA, even though the NBA is a little bit more softer. But yeah, like that. I do think that it's a good route, I listen, I don't follow like the Euro leagues on a regular basis. And I find it interesting the paths to get to the league now compared to like when we were kids, where it was just like guys who got to the NBA. It's like, okay, go be awesome and good enough to get it noticed, go to college and try and just find yourself in the draft and get taken. And like, if you're a European player, it was like, you must be really good if you're getting getting the kind of draft stock that, guys that we watch like Dirk Nowitzki or Yao Ming or, I keep going, right? But like, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. Like, I feel like every draft, more and more European players are coming to the NBA and they're going different routes, whether it's G League or via college basketball. And I think it's great for just the game globally. As someone who does baseball content during the summer, and I get very frustrated with how the game is going in terms of growth, the way that basketball as an entire sport has grown is actually like really, really like crazy when you think about it, when you think about how things were done 10, 15 years ago, even, 20 years ago, and how players got to the league. So I think it's good for the game in general that this is kind of a thing.
I mean, it's so interlocked anymore. I have never seen so many Illini fans watch the NBA Hoop Summit from Nike, and we're looking at an Italian player. Like in years past, it was like, hey, I think a guy from Whitney Young is playing in this game, so we need to check it out. But now it's the guy from Italy. It's the guy from Serbia. It's the guy from Montenegro that are coming into the college basketball world. And it's been a fun ride. And I just can't wrap my head around how quickly it's taken place, because the Europeans that did come back in like 2005 when Darren Williams was playing, those guys were the ones that were the third tier guys in Europe that came on because they were going to play 4 years in college. But now the one and dones are coming into the college basketball world, and I think it makes it a lot more fun. Basketball fans have never been more engaged in the international tournaments as well. I think this is just a positive for the basketball world. But let's get back to the Illini, and you look at this upcoming season, the Big Ten. Where would you initially slot Illinois in this Big Ten horse race if you were to handicap it?
I mean, Purdue and Michigan are 1 and 2. I think Illinois is anywhere from 3 to 6. I genuinely believe that. I feel like that's where they're going to be. Interested to see how some of how year 2 goes for some of these teams out west. I remember Mick Cronin last year complaining a lot about the travel.
Mick Cronin complaining? No way.
Right. What they will take from that experience now into year 2 of like the new Big Ten. Interested to see how that goes, but they're going to put Northwestern somewhere towards the back end, and then they'll end up being better than anyone thinks because Chris Collins is just doing so well with less. I don't know. It feels like every year I tell myself, or I look at it, I'm like, Illinois should be top 5 Big Ten every year. And last year they didn't. So they have a lot to kind of gain my trust back with. But I think they have a roster that can be and should be. It's just all about execution. And, I love Brad. But, how they are going to play defense this year will be so crucial, in my opinion. Right now, I think Zavonimir is going to get that first opportunity to start the 4, but I don't know if for looking at defensively, I do not know if Illinois is going to be able to defend at all on any good level with both him.
That is a very unathletic front court,
right? Yeah, and so that's why losing Ty Rodgers is huge. So I don't know how good they're going to be defensively. I think they're going to still try and play the same pace, shoot a lot of threes, and try and score a ton. They'd probably be top 20 in offensive efficiency, but like they got to be better defensively. And I don't know if this will happen, but I would like to see quicker adjustments on defense when things aren't going well. And maybe that's too much to ask because we've had a large sample of Brad Underwood at this point, but if they truly want to ever get past, or not past, but truly be a consistent Sweet 16 team or more, like I do think they need to make some changes on some stuff, man. Like I do think they need to be a better defensive team. And I think they got good defenders. Kylan Boswell, one of the best defenders in the Big Ten, right? But a lot of guys have a lot to prove it defensively, at least. And I right now I do not feel good about both Big Z, Big T starting. I don't, from a defensive standpoint. But if they just go full out, we're gonna try and outscore you. I guess at least it'll be fun, you know.
I do know that Illinois does have a new defensive coordinator on staff, so that helps out a lot in terms of maybe just figuring some new things out, especially with a group that might be a little lacking on the athletic side of things, especially in that front court. Like I said, the backcourt might have a few concerns as well defensively outside of Kylan. So this will be interesting to see what this looks like defensively. But the reason we brought you on, the thumbnail, what is your grade for this Illini basketball offseason now that the school year is approaching for the University of Illinois?
I'd give it a solid B plus because I still think you met expectations. I think there were scenarios where it could have been better, so that's why I can't give it an A. But I think there are upside for a lot of guys, and for example, when you talk about upside, like I just kind of was kind of negative about Zavonimir and his defense, but like if they can unlock him on the offensive side, that could be a massive thing. And I think there's a ton of talent there, and he had his ups and downs with Kentucky and Arkansas. Like, can Illinois bring out the best in him? They have became a great developmental program, especially for guys who transfer in. Like, can they get him and Big T going together? And can, like I talked about Stojakovic, can he be the star that they need him to be? With the spotlight there. Illinois is going to be on a lot of national channels, especially in the Big Ten season. They're going to get a lot more attention than he ever got at Cal or Stanford. Can he answer the call on that, right? And I can go down the list with other players, but I just think that all of it, there's a lot of upside. We gotta just have to see it play out. So I think overall I give it a B plus, just because it's not an A, just because I think they could have found a way to do better, but they did it as well as they could have with what the results that happened with other guys.
Cody, I can't let you leave without asking at least one Cubs question. Do the Cubs win their first playoff series since 2017 this season?
Well, listen, I'm actually kind of rooting for the Padres to win the NL West, which is kind of crazy if it actually happens. Like, the Dodgers really kind of faltering right now. Padres, as of this recording, I think a game back. If they can actually win the NL West and get a bye, and the Cubs end up playing the Dodgers in that wild card, if the Cubs don't come back from Milwaukee, against Milwaukee, which it doesn't seem good right now, but they still have 5 games against Milwaukee. We'll see. If the Cubs get matched up with the Dodgers, I weirdly feel great about that matchup. I feel so much better about the Cubs playing the Dodgers in the playoffs than I do the Padres, the Phillies, and I mean even Milwaukee in a way. There's just something about the year after a team wins the World Series. And we watched it in 2017, like that team was good. They did get back to the NLCS, but you felt like it took everything out of them just to like win the NLDS against the Nationals that year. So this Dodgers team, it's going to be interesting to see like where they're at the end of the year, and if they just can't hang on to that division lead. And right now, I feel like this Padres team is with the bullpen that they got at the deadline and all that. Like, to me, they're the best team in the National League just because the bullpens are so important in the playoffs. So I like the Phillies too. So just as long as they don't get matched up with one of those two teams, I feel like they have a chance in the wild card. So yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, yeah. Hopefully, you see that popcorn tin behind me from the World Series team. But Cody, thank you so much for joining me. Where can people find you, and where can people find your content, both Cubs and Illini?
Yeah. So Illini on Twitter is just Cody_Illini. Same thing on YouTube that's the handle. I do a Illini podcast called From Beyond Champaign. It's been kind of inactive of late, but looking to build it back up or start it back up soon, especially with basketball season kind of around the corner. Got football season coming up, obviously, but so yeah, that, and then right now in the thick of Cubs season, started a new YouTube channel. Just search my name, you'll find it. Cody_Cubs, I believe, is what the handle on YouTube is as well, and that's what I am on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, so a lot of I'm in the thick of it right now. I need the Cubs to start playing better.
Absolutely. Cody, thank you for coming on, and I hope you have a great rest of your night. And I don't know what the Cubs score is right now, but hopefully they pull through.
Yeah.
That was Cody Delmendo of at Cody_Illini and at Cody_Cubs. Thank you so much for joining me on the inaugural Armchair Illini podcast. I know we had some technical difficulties here, but we will get those figured out as we move along. And I just want to thank you again for joining me. And we can please like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and on Twitter at Armchair Illini, and go to armchairillini.com. Thank you again for joining me. And again, thank you, Hamilton Walkers, for sponsoring this episode. And you can find us on Apple and Spotify. Thank you. And this has been episode 1 of Armchair Illini.